Hey everybody, it's Lauren Lee with the Lauren Lee Group. It's at eXp Realty here in Cincinnati, Ohio. Today I have a special guest who I'm going to chat with. Her name is Rebecca Soto. Hi, Rebecca.
Hi.
She hails from the wonderful sunny Orlando, Florida area. And she is going to help us out today by giving us a bunch of information. She's a really unique agent because she has a fabulous team with her husband. And she's been working with him and building a pretty significant business for 15 years, also written a book.
Yes.
And going to give us a bunch of tips on how to expand and make your 2022 one of the best years yet. So I'm super excited about that today.
I am as well. Thank you, Lauren, for inviting me onto the show. It's an honor for me and a pleasure to be able to share and kind of, see how we can set you up for an explosive 2022.
Absolutely. The market's kind of crazy for, now. And so I can only anticipate that 2022 is going to have some very interesting challenges as well. So what do you think?
Yeah, well, the way I see it, there is so many changes coming up ahead. The market is continuously, ebbs and flows, going up and down, and it's really up to us how we are going to manage ourselves moving forward. What have you been doing this year that worked well? Kind of reevaluating what have you been doing, what's working, what's not working, right? And so what do we need to do more of? And as I think about that, I'm like, okay, so what was that one thing, right? Think about what's that one thing that has worked really well for you. And so that might be different for everyone, right? So I think, as I think of it now, how can we start to generate more income, right? If you don't know what 2020 or what January, the next 10 clients that you're going to have in January 2022, we need to start working on what are we going to do to generate some income now, right? And so think about what are you the strongest at, and do more of that.
How does the low inventory impact that? So for example, we have buyers right now. I have buyers too. We can't find them houses to sell. So how do we evaluate maybe going back and looking at our business plan and really taking that? I just did another interview with another gal about a business plan. So really this is kind of your end of year, maybe looking back on that business plan and evaluating where everything came from.
Right.
What worked last year, how the impact of the market and the scarcity impacted maybe what we were good at, but we had to work harder at, or the time that it took on just getting one deal through.
Right.
What should we focus on with evaluating that?
So and we're talking about, you're in Cincinnati, I'm in Orlando, yet we're all pretty much experiencing the same thing, right? There's a shortage of inventory. And so the one thing that we know is we need to get more listings, right? We need to appeal to more sellers. And so I think it's a good time right now. If you have a database, right? If you already have a database established, you need to get back in that database. I think one of the things that has worked really well for us, working by referral. So getting back into this is a perfect time of the year where we can be getting back with our clients and just checking in on them. How are you doing? Right. And what are your goals for 2022? Check in to see, because there's a lot of people that may be considering making a move. How many of your previous clients have already decided to move?
Absolutely. That's an inexpensive way to make connections.
Absolutely.
And it builds the relationship. So, we're double, triple dipping with just going back and touching our sphere, our past clients, having those conversations. And I know we're stressed for time, but, we can use and leverage technology to, maybe send video messages, and just sit down and really think about purposefully, get and look into your database. I've got some great relationships with friends and people, and kind of see how they're doing and reach out to them in their real lives and get to know what they're up to.
Exactly. And I think continuing to build that relationship, that rapport with your past clients, with your sphere of influence, people who know you, right? And they're expecting that from you. I think sometimes there's a little bit of a fear among some agents where they just don't want to be too salesy and things like that. Don't be salesy. Don't be salesy. Be genuine as to trying to just keep in touch with that client, wish them a Merry Christmas, check in on them to see how they've been. Some people are struggling, others are not. Where are they in the market, right? So just kind of meeting people where they're at. And so maybe they're considering a refinance, right? So whatever that is for that client, try and find a solution. Another thing that I like to do is be that connector, right? So I have a lot of clients who know that they can call me if they need a painter, if they need a roofer, I'm going to find that person, right? So I already have a list of my preferred partners that we work with, but I cultivate that list, right? So get out there and find out who those people are that you can add to your list, right? Builders, electrician, plumbers, whatever that is, termite, everything imaginable that people would need in relationship to owning a home, right? Pool cleaner. You think of all those different vendors. Have your list ready. Be that connector. So, hey, I'm just checking in on you. How's everything with the house going? Is there anything that you need that I can help you with? Look for that little problem, and so in that, people will start to open up and talk to you a little bit more. And so, one of the conversations that we had with a client was he was looking to consolidate some bills, right? Wanted to know what the value was for his property so that he could consider perhaps a refinance, right? And in that conversation, we realized, you know what, you would really benefit right now from selling the house. You'd be able to pay off all of your debt and be able to buy another house, because he was also looking to get a bigger house. And so you still had enough money to be able to buy the next house. And that's exactly what he did. So we were able to put his house on the market. We already knew, we had a client. I said, I already know someone who's been looking for a house just like yours. We were able to get them into contract. And then he bought another listing that we had, so we were able to get 3 deals back to back just from that one client. And he called just asking for the value of his house so that he can consider a refinance. So that conversation, which, by the way, I'm not a mortgage broker, I would have connected him with a mortgage broker had that been the better solution for him. But in that conversation, we were able to guide him, right? And be able to help him out and be able to get him moving, pay off the debt, get another house.
I mean, it's amazing. I have a client too that when you have these conversations, they're feeding me multiple of their adult children too. It may not even be that they have a need, but you're the realtor, you call them, you check in on them, and they say, hey, my son's going to get a transfer up to Portland area. And then they have another son moving in. So even if it's not just helping that one person, you spark that interest in real estate, and their wheels start turning, and they think of you. But other than, checking in, sometimes you might not be that top of mind. So having that simple connection, that human connection, is really invaluable to our business.
I mean, and it's the number one, because right now we are in a relationship business, right? The difference between a contact and a contract is that you have to build that relationship. Our friend Nick Krem says that all the time. I grabbed that from him, but that relationship is the most important. And so in those conversations, who else can I help in your family? You have any friends, like, what can I do for you guys? And you have to plug that in their mind, right? Plug that in their mind that you can help other people, not just them, right? Because they're not thinking that you can, they're not thinking about that. So you have to prime them up so that they can say, you know what, you're right. I have a friend of mine that's been looking for a house. Hello, I know a realtor right here, right?
Exactly. Here we are, folks. Cincinnati, Orlando.
Can help you. And but you have to plug that in their mind, because otherwise they don't think about it. Mm-hmm. Some people automatically will. When you've given really great service, some people automatically know to refer you business, and that's awesome. Other people, you literally have to plug it in their minds, and they're like, you know what? Yes, this lady at my church, right? Or the lady at the barbershop. Wow, at the beauty salon. Or I was talking with the guys at the barbershop, right? So depending, who you are, where you're at, there's always going to be someone, but you have to kind of you have to open up those conversations. You can't be afraid of them, right? And, but I think, one thing I like to follow some of the leading coaches in real estate. And so one of those is Tom Ferry. And recently he was talking about how a lot of people are knowing that you're calling for sales and things like that, and they're expecting you to get them to a yes. So let's flip it, What's a no question that we can ask? And so I was like, oh, I like this. Okay, we're going to come at a different angle,
Love
right?
it.
And so what angle is that? So as you're calling your database, let's say it's of potential buyer, right? The question would be, and this is to reactivate somebody. Maybe it's been a while since you've heard from them. They called interested, and then they've kind of like wandered off a little bit. And so the question would be, are you out of the home buying market for 2022?
Oh, wow.
Ooh,
Are you
I
out of
like
the
that.
market?
Are you
Ooh.
out of the home buying
Are you
market?
out of the market?
Right. And so that's going to prompt them. If they are still in the market, they'll be like, no, I'm still in. Don't take me out. I'm still in. Right. Now they may genuinely be out of the market. Maybe something's changed, and that's okay. We need to move on. Now we know to put them to the side, and we're going to move on to the next person. Right. And go through your database like that. And you can do that as a phone call. You can do that as a text. You can do that as an email. And so you put it right there in the subject line of the email, and then that's going to trigger them to respond quickly, right? So if they're serious about buying, and that's who we're looking for, right? That's
Rebecca, this is kind of interesting. Just as we're talking, a lot of these things go back to just emphasizing communication. How hard is it for people to communicate? We're all so busy and everything, but we've talked about getting listings through communication. Now we're talking about getting buyers through communication. And it's something that we can schedule into our day and time block, these kind of simple tasks that can explode our business for next year.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think also this is the time of the year that, like we had mentioned earlier, that you're reevaluating the things that have worked and haven't worked, but get really clear on why you work this business, because sometimes we get stuck, right? And a lot of things happen, a lot of contracts are not going through, and there's multiple offers, and you're not getting the properties. There's very limited, and so you get frustrated. And some people have said, hey, I quit. I don't think I want to do this anymore. That's frustrating. I get you, right? But I think we have to get really clear on why we're doing this. Right? So why did you decide to become a realtor? Why is this important to you? And so a lot of people say,
sorry about that. Why is this important to you, Rebecca? I just want to make it a little personal.
Sure, absolutely.
About your story and how you, after 15 years and working with your husband, have made this, a very successful life's work and handled the ups and downs of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we've been in the industry for 15 years. And so our whys have kind of changed and evolved and grown right through the years. When we first came in, both of us were looking for a more meaningful type of career. We were making pretty decent money. We were hard workers. And but we didn't necessarily care for the careers that we were in. And so in searching for that and wanting to work together, we were just, kind of actually, we weren't even sure what we wanted to do. And I remember I went into a friend's office. I also, aside from my regular career, I was doing, selling makeup on the side. And so I went into a friend's office, and she tells me, Rebecca, if you worked real estate the way you work this business, you would be very successful. And then all of a sudden I was like, why don't I do this? Right. And I was like, I could do this together with my husband. And then all of a sudden, this vision of working with my husband, creating our schedule, being more available for our family. Like, we had a young family when we first started, and I wanted to be at basketball games and practices, and the way we were scheduled with our day jobs, we were very limited, right? And oftentimes I would have to get someone else to take the kids to practice, pick them up, I'll be home at this time, and the stress of that. And so, like many people, I wanted to control my schedule a little bit better. And that's when we first came in. And of course, real estate appealed to us because, just like many people, we wanted to help home buyers. We had recently bought a house, and there was some pitfalls that we went through, and I wanted to be a better guide, right? And so that's how we started. But at the end of it, it was really to provide a better lifestyle for our family. right? To be able to afford the things that we wanted to be able to provide for them, whether it's private schools and college tuitions and just be comfortable, vacations together as a family, have that time. That was what's important for me. I'm a big quality time person. So is my husband. We do a lot of things together. And I knew that no matter how bad it was, that we would be able to get through it. And, of course, you expect the best, but even in its worst, I knew that we'd be able to weather those storms together. And 15 years later, and that's exactly how it's been. Like on our worst day, I would never want to go back to punching a time clock,
I hear you. I find that real estate really just allows us to have and express this entrepreneurial spirit. And I think now, because I'm an EXP agent, I know you are too. I'm even taking that up a level. Not only did we want that freedom with our family and to have flexibility, but we're looking at creating generational wealth now. As an owner of a real estate company, because we're part owners in EXP Realty. Yay.
That's right. Yeah.
Our future is with our brokerage. And it's going to be able to, hopefully as things keep continuing to grow, provide us true financial freedom for not only just as we're living it, but in the future. And even as we retire, to have that passive revenue, to be able to have income coming in every month and have an exit strategy that we actually can continue to have resources when we're not being transactional.
I'm so glad you mentioned all of that, because before EXP, and I've only been in for 2 years now, but before EXP, we owned our own real estate brokerage for about 9 years. And we primarily worked as a husband and wife team. We had a couple of agents, and there were pitfalls in the desire to grow that company. And although we thought we wanted to grow the company, there was some really big red flags that kept us from wanting to really go in and dive deep. So when we made that switch, we were intentional. We were looking at the different brands and the opportunities and the models. None of them made sense to us. I'm like, if I'm going to do that, I'll stay here in my company. It doesn't make sense. And EXP offered all of those things that you just mentioned that I couldn't offer that to my agents. So it wasn't just looking at what's my benefit. I wanted to be able to bring people into something that was going to build generational wealth for them as well. For me, it's not enough for myself to grow. I mean, yeah, all of us want to grow, but I think for me, I feel like at this point in my life, I have this experience that we have achieved over the years, and we want to share it. We want to help others grow. We want to be able to lead, mentor, coach other agents, help them be successful. And I'm able to do more of that through EXP and still have a very comfortable life and build one for them as well. So like, that's what I get excited about, So to me, that's something that I feel good about sharing with others.
I think that it energizes my life and it energizes my business. And that's one of the coolest things. I mean, we talk about how to set ourselves up for that explosive 2022. But when I actually left my former brokerage, I was kind of stagnant. I hate to kind of say that. And it was just me, I wasn't feeling that energy, and there was something going on inside of me. And when I did come over, for me, it was 4 years ago. So, and as somewhat of, I feel, an early adopter, there was between 3,000 and 7,000 agents, if you can believe it, way back in the day. And I just was energized. I was energized by feeling such ownership in my future. Like really, I felt like the buck stops here. So if I want to explode anything, in my life, whatever I'm going to focus on, if I want to focus on exploding 2022, I'm going to focus on how to develop that energy. Like you said, kind of going back to, why do I do this? It has to kind of come from within. Why do you do this? And we do get caught up in the everyday difficult deals and, the days where you feel like the sky is pretty close to your head, it's falling. But I think that, when you see that really big picture, the why is always present. And it really energizes you. So when you're looking at doing transactions and making phone calls and learning and filling yourself with people like yourself who are really out there trying to develop more knowledge and contribute to others, that energy is infectious. And I think it spills over into how you do your business every day.
Absolutely. And I think it's important to definitely get connected with a really good goal setting class. Do your vision board. And, there's people that'll criticize and say the old school vision boards. Listen, it works.
It does.
It works. Now, if you do it right, because I think if we just kind of randomly put things that you don't even know how you're going to achieve it, then I feel like, that could be something that gets put in the closet somewhere. You don't look at it again, and you're like, I can't even touch those goals. So I think what I would do to take it a step further, and I recently did this exercise. I think it was with Tony Robbins. I can't remember. So we were thinking about, where do you want to be in 10 years, right? So I was like, let's do the 10-year goal setting. What does that look like, right? So you close your eyes and think about, where do you want to be, or where do you see yourself in 10 years? What does your house look like?
I lost her. Well, hey, everybody.
I lost connection for a second. I'm sorry. But okay, just to kind of keep that going, what activities are you doing? Who are you with, right? What's your life look like? Do you have kids? Who are you married to? Who's there present with you? And so what do you want to do? Where vacations do you want to take? Think about all these things. Are you retired? Or are you setting up for retirement? Like, what are you doing? And so now, why wait for 10 years?
Totally true.
Let's make that plan to do it now.
Yeah.
Let's make that plan to do it now. So now when you're doing your business plan and you're setting up your numbers for the year, include what it takes to get to that dream, right? And you might not be able to do it in 12 months, depending how big you're dreaming. And I want you to dream big, right? But include that and work towards it now. Don't wait 10 years. 10 years is not guaranteed for us.
I mean, it is very true. It is not guaranteed. It's not guaranteed that we can take another breath.
It's true.
But I feel like too, when we see it, we believe it. I've got some super huge goals, ironically, for 2022. And I talk about them all the time. This is the other thing. If you really want one of those goals, what you want your house to look like or whatever it is, I have a pretty huge goal of being out with my grandchildren. And they live on the East Coast.
Okay.
And so I'm just sharing, and I'm going to breathe it into life. I want to be out there with them as well and have some opportunities, spend time with them. And I'm telling you, I breathe it into life. I breathe it into my transactions. I know what it is. I think about it every day. But if we don't actually see it, that vision board is about sight. So there's the sight piece to it, and then the belief piece, and then you see it. Yes. You have to see it you have to think about it every day. It has to be right in front of you, because other than that, like anything else, it doesn't materialize. We know the workouts on January 1st and everybody's there, but a month later, are you still on the treadmill, or 6 months later? But in this business, you've got to stay consistent and committed. It's not a forgiving business if you're not doing what you need to do.
I think also on those days where you're really finding it hard to find motivation, that is what you need to be looking at to remind you why you're dealing with this, why you need to go out and show that next property, or why you need to talk to that next lead or client on the phone. And or if it's something that you need to get better at,
yes,
then take action on that, right? Take action. You're not that good in converting leads into clients. Take a class on that. Get better, do whatever it takes so that you can get better at what you need to do so that you can master that skill, right?
I love that. I love that. Sorry, I just, you got me so excited. I love the fact that we have to evaluate ourselves too, not just like on paper where, okay, I can just look and say, oh, my lead flow was crummy, I didn't convert or whatever, or my marketing's not working. But what about, are you needing to develop something inside of yourself that's going to help you when those leads come in to communicate in a way that will help that conversion? Because we are in a multifaceted business and you have to do a lot of things well. So I love that piece of being able to step back and kindly self-reflect on where our weaknesses are. And then be able to just, there's resources out there and we can take coaching and training and online things. And we can both give lots of recommendations to anybody who would want to have that information. But I love that. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. Another pain point that I've seen is a lot of agents will say that they have trouble kind of managing their time blocking, right? And the truth is, if you don't take control of that, it will take control of you, right? So the easiest thing to do is utilize, any online calendar. Google Calendar is great. There's iCloud and the many others out there, any one of them, but use it and work by it religiously. Plug in those activities that you should be doing hour by hour. So I would start with whatever your responsibilities you have. So like, let's say you have to get the kids ready for school in the morning, whatever time that takes, right? Block that in your calendar because you can't do anything else during that time. But can you get up a little bit earlier to do the exercises and or read the books, whatever you want to do, those morning activities to help get you started, which I think that you should definitely start with self-care. Wake up a little earlier in the morning instead of being reactive to, rush out the door and get to work or get to school or do whatever your responsibilities are. Take some time to connect with yourself, to fill yourself up, because if we're working from a cup that is half empty, you have nothing, you're spent and you have nothing to give. So fill yourself up, spend some time, whether it's prayer and meditation, first thing in the morning, reading a book, journaling, working out. And let me tell you, working out, even I struggle with this because I want to be disciplined every day at working out. And I will make a million excuses as to why I'm not starting today. I'm starting tomorrow. And I know there's a lot of people that probably are on that with me.
Oh, yeah.
The truth is, when we do work out, don't we feel more energized afterwards? You get yourself ready for the day. Like you're pumped. You're like, what's next? And you can take on the challenges of the day.
Yeah, it sets the tone for the day. There's something about discipline that gives you power. You're in charge. You feel more in charge of everything. You feel less out of control and less kind of swinging from here to thither. When you really start disciplining what you do with your day, you feel more in control of your entire life and the outcomes that you're going to create for it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then plug in those income producing activities in the order that whatever your ideal schedule would be. I'm dropping off the kids right after that. Maybe I can do some phone calls right from the car as I'm driving to the office, right? Or so you're doing your prospecting time. You plug in that prospecting time and you're committed to it. Nothing gets in the way of your prospecting time, right? And then after prospecting, maybe you're following up with your emails and marketing and all that other stuff. Give yourself a lunch break, right? This is my lunch break. After lunch, what are we doing? We're doing maybe a little bit more prospecting, or we're doing appointments. So whatever that looks like for you. Now, if you're picking up the kids after school, then plug that time in as well so that you're not double booking yourself or anything. It has to be realistic. You got your church days, you got your activities, whatever other activities you're doing, plug those in because those are non-negotiables, right? You can't be working during those times, and plug in the time that you're going to be with your family. Well, that time is sacred as well.
Absolutely. And, sometimes when we look at that, we say there's not enough time in the day. So what do we do in those instances? I have 4 adult children and 7 grandchildren. And some days, and they don't all live right with me, but some days it's like so crazy. So I want to throw out leveraging your time. So if we look and we make these schedules and we look at our Google Calendar, we also have to ask ourselves, is there someone else that can help me with some of these tasks that someone else can do, so that we can make sure that maybe we're exercising or that we're spending that time with our family? Because as you know, as our business increases, we just kind of get busier. And all of that can't be caught into just the regular 8 hours to 9 to 10 hours a day.
Great point. I think that it's very important to delegate your tasks that you don't necessarily need to do, right? And sometimes we fall into the trap of saying, I'm the only one that can do this, or no one can do it better than me. But the truth is, you should only, and I tell this to my newest agents, newly licensed coming in, your job is to get in front of more people. Your job is not to do paperwork. So we all use a transaction coordinator, and they're worth every dollar that they charge.
Double what they're charging.
Find a good one. Yes. Find a good one. Check out the reviews on them. Anyone references that has already used it. But like my guy, he is gold for me. And that buys me back more time. If I don't have to do my own paperwork, I could be out either in front of more clients or I have more family time. To me, both are valuable.
Well, and I love what you said too, that our tasks are truly income producing. It is so easy to be caught up, and we do have to spend some time in that education piece, because I think that really does lead us to income producing activities, or more powerful, more successful ones. But I think that, it's just essential for our success.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, I think, if anybody is in a place where they're finding themselves unmotivated and finding it hard, of course, you have your vision board that reminds you of what you're working towards, but you also have to keep yourself plugged in to some type of energy source. So whether that's a really great podcast or following some of these top leaders and coaches in real estate, or just professional development, John Maxwell and things like that, listen to that first thing in the morning, because that's going to get you going as well. And on those days that you're feeling like you're just kind of mentally stuck, you have to plug into these things to keep you excited, to keep you motivated. You have to be your own cheerleader, because it's no one else's responsibility to do that, right? Now, I like to check in with people when I can, and if I can uplift someone, I'm all about it. But it's our responsibility to motivate ourselves.
It's true. It's true. The buck stops here, and we've got to own it.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you so much. Before we go, I wanted you to just do a little bit of information and share maybe about you and your husband, and a book that you've written. I would love to learn more about that.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, yeah. So my husband and I co-authored a book called Married in Real Estate. And we really just talk about our journey. And we've been through so much through the years. We started back in 2006, and we talk about when we met, how we got started in real estate together, what it was like juggling family and business, knowing that we were working at a really small level and wanting to scale up and having to break out of our shells and things like that. So we talk about our journey, but we also share life lessons, exercises so that you can reflect. And so we hope that through us sharing our life, that it would help impact someone else and help them in their journey. And so that book is available for free right now at marriedinrealestate.com. Just pay for shipping and handling, and the book is yours. So
wonderful. Well, thank you, because it's all about contribution to others and building each other up. It's a crazy career that we're in, and I know that just collaborating with people can be a huge encouragement, and having confidence that they've overcome the challenges and that we can too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I've had a really great time chatting it up with you.
Rebecca, I as well. Anybody looking to look in the Orlando, Florida market, maybe give Rebecca Soto a big shout out and give her a call.
Thank you. Thank you, Laura.
Thanks, everybody. We'll talk again soon, Rebecca.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.